Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to episode 119 of the Seezus Show. It's your guy, Sir Seezus. I hope you guys enjoyed last week's episode. Just to rehash with the last episode, it was episode 118 featuring Grayson Moore, former D1 basketball player for Utah State, and also is the co-founder of Next Level Basketball 435 as well, too. So great episode. Hope you guys enjoyed it, got further insight on what it takes to be a professional, what it takes to just be great. And, you know, I hope you guys learn a little bit more about the X and the O standpoint from a great basketball mindset like himself as well, too. So what else do I want to say? You know, just continue to support, subscribe to all forms of social media, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, all that good stuff at The Seezus Show and at Sir Seezus as well, too. So this week, this episode 119, I have a very special guest who came onto the podcast scene as a featured guest years ago while he was actually still playing Division I basketball. And I remember back in this day, I didn't really have the best form of equipment. He actually had a call in from all the way Midwest/West Coast, and I used to have my iPhone, and I would put the speaker to the mic, and to see where we've kind of grown from then to now is truly amazing as well, too. And this guy's actually, you know, a relative, a brother, a cousin as well, too. So he actually lives out in L.A., and I'm excited for him to be on this show to give you guys further insight on, you know, just everything that he's kind of gone through and what he's kind of going through now, and obviously some NBA hoops as well, too. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, make some noise for my blood, for my cousin, for one of my best friends, Pervis Louder.
What up, C? What up? How you living?
I'm doing great, man. It's just crazy how these 2 years have just kind of flown by so fast, you know what I'm saying? Like, I remember you came here during the height of the pandemic in 2020 of August, and I followed briefly after as well, too, and it looks like we found a good balance of, you know, our professional, personal, private life as well, too, these past couple of years. How's it been treating you?
Man, it's been good. I can't complain. You know, being on the West Coast, last 2 years, obviously it's a different type of environment, complete opposites, you know, from being in North Carolina. But, you know, I found my people here, you know, so it's good to have those connections, and I'm continuously learning, you know, continuously growing. So all in all, it's good.
The buzzword I kind of just heard right there was North Carolina, East Coast boy. Obviously, I'm from Virginia, but you grew up in North Carolina. I mean, every now and then I would visit, you know, probably like once a month or whatnot as well, too. But, I mean, how was it growing up in North Carolina? And I think you not only played basketball growing up, but you played soccer growing up. So tell me how it was growing up in North Carolina, and then kind of just, you know, soccer with the basketball. And I think you basically choose between the two. And how did soccer even help out with basketball long term?
Yeah, so soccer was actually the first sport I started playing. I think I was like maybe 4 or 5 years old. You know, I played soccer and basketball growing up. I think I played up until high school. I played both sports up until high school. Ninth grade, you know, I had a decision to make. My parents were tired of, you know, taking me from soccer to basketball all the time. I had to pick one sport. And basketball was something I fell in love with. And it's pretty hard not to play basketball growing up in North Carolina. You know, that's the hoop state. You know, I brag about North Carolina players all the time. That's all we do is live, sleep, breathe hoops. Like that's it. But you know, I'm grateful that I did play soccer because I learned a lot. And that definitely transitioned into my playing career. I would say, like, you know, what transitioned the most? I would say conditioning. You know, I was definitely prepared conditioning-wise as far as being in shape when it came for basketball season. And then also, I would say footwork. Those two things, they definitely helped out a lot, you know, playing basketball. So,
yeah, that was pretty good. So when did you know that Division I basketball could actually be a thing?
You know, that was like my goal growing up. And, you know, playing in high school, I played for Garner Road Bulldogs, one of the top programs in the state. You they had a whole bunch of guys that played Division I and a couple in the NBA. So I was already exposed to that, and I competed at that level already. So, playing against those guys and showing that I am capable of, hanging with them, I already thought in my head, like, yo, if I can hang around these guys, I can definitely, play at the next level. So, I continuously just worked. I tried to always be around the gym, getting those hours in, putting those 10,000 hours in. And, that kind of, it got me far in life. I will say that.
Yeah, that's pretty dope. It's pretty dope. And then, obviously, you mentioned Garner Road playing AAU, and I think you said David West is one of the co-founders. So, how was, whenever he could, spend some time, obviously he's a busy guy, like how did that have a profound impact on you?
Yeah, man. David West, he's one of the co-founders for Garner Road, him and his brother. Once the NBA season would end, David would come back. He's from Raleigh originally too. So his family is still back here. Me and David, we still got a relationship to this day. He's known me since I was like 13, 14 years old. And he was definitely a mentor basketball-wise. I could go to him for anything, you know what I mean? And he definitely helped me a lot, working out and, working on my body. He really taught me the importance of taking care of your body, stretching, weight room, constantly preparing me for the next level and putting my mind, prepping my mind for the next level. So, growing up, I would always parents would drop me off at the gym, and I'd be there all day with David, working out, helping with the other kids. They might have camps and stuff going on. Whatever it was, I was always around the game, and I definitely learned a lot from David as well.
That's pretty dope. That's pretty dope, man. And obviously, you had a tough decision to make. Where will you be taking your talents from transitioning to high school to, playing college basketball? So, what other, opportunities did you kind of have, and then what ultimately made you decide to choose Air Force to play college basketball?
Yeah, so when we're young, you get so hung up on playing D1. That's where you want to play. You want to play on TV, So I had Air Force, Wofford, and Western Carolina. Those are my 3 Division I offers. Then I had a multitude of D2 offers too. So I really thought I was going to go to Western Carolina, but someone just committed right before me. So, yeah. So I mean, it obviously it worked out. So senior year, I was still getting recruited, still playing or whatever. We had a really good senior year down at Village Christian in Fayetteville, North Carolina, and finished. I think we finished Final Four in the playoffs. But Air Force was still at the door, still knocking, still calling. So at the end of my senior year, I took a visit out to Colorado. Took my visit there and, toured the campus, talked to the coaches, kind of got a sense of what Colorado would be like in life there. And ultimately, I made that decision to take my talents there because, one is Division I, obviously. That's been a dream of mine. 2, they play in the Mountain West Conference. So for those that don't know the Mountain West, there's teams you play against: UNLV, University of New Mexico, San Diego State, Utah State. A lot of big schools, a lot of good competition in the Mountain West. So there's that. But then also it was also just a life thing, man. Everyone that I had talked to about the academy, they're like, the academy is one of those things where, you graduate, you'll have a job afterwards. Basketball doesn't really work out. But it was also just like, going to a prestigious university, and it's pretty tough to go to school there and to play a sport. And that was a huge challenge. So, I figured, everyone's telling me how hard it is. You know, if I can do it, I can just do anything in life. So, you know, I made my decision to play at the Air Force Academy.
And not even going into the actual, basketball program, but I mean, you're moving halfway across the country. So how was that transition? How was the lifestyle? And then if you're allowed to share any insight, like how was just the balancing of the lifestyle plus school plus the Air Force Academy plus basketball?
Yeah. No, it's definitely an adjustment. Going to it took me a while to adjust, coming from North Carolina, going all the way across country to Colorado with, no family, not knowing anyone. Naturally I'm pretty reserved. So it definitely took a while for me to adjust, especially, not having any military background or experience. I was kind of a deer in the headlights, and I didn't really know what to expect. It was tough for the first couple of months. I wanted to leave. It was a lot of times where I was like, you know what, I'm through with this. Like, I'm just trying to go back home. But I got too much pride, way too much pride. So I'll say going to the academy and then having to deal with school, having to deal with basketball, and then also the military aspect. It's a lot to juggle. It's a lot to handle. A lot of early mornings, a lot of late nights. I'm waking up in the morning and I got a uniform inspection or a room inspection, and then I got to go march, and then I got breakfast, and then I got class, and then I got something that, you know what I mean? You're doing something every minute of the day. And then basketball was just, basketball itself, playing at the Division I level is a job. And I don't think a lot of people understand that. You devote so much time to the gym and your craft and, taking care of your body. You're around your teammates every single day, literally every single day, and they become your best friends. But it took me a while to adjust. I learned a lot of discipline, and I would say time management was huge for me, and, prioritizing. So I would say those things really, helped me to make it through.
Nice. Now, tell us about, playing Division I basketball. How was that transition from high school to college basketball, and, just the battles you went through and all that good stuff?
Yeah, so I'll say this, going from high school to college, it's still a huge jump, especially Division I. Even at Division II, Division III, like, it's still a huge jump. The pace of the game, the X's and O's. There's a lot of things at the high school level you're not really exposed to. Once you get to the Division I level, a lot more things become detailed. You get scouting reports, and not just on one player, but like 7, 8 guys on the team, you know what I mean? And you're supposed to know their tendencies, what do they like to do, what they're shooting from this side versus this side, do they like, pulling up on the left or going all the way to the basket, you know what I mean? So that was a huge learning gap for me. I had to look at the scouting report and then also, like I said, the pace of the game. You really got to do things, at a very fast pace. And not only playing but learning at a fast pace as well, because coaches aren't going to take the time to go through something in practice. You know what I mean? So you really got to be a quick learner, and then also, play fast as well. So I would say that was the big difference between high school and college.
Damn. Any games that kind of stood out to you when you played there?
Yeah, a couple of games. I'll definitely say when we played against Denver my junior season, we were down, I think, maybe like 22 points at halftime. And, we came back and won. I played like the entire second half, and I had the game-winning dunk I won't forget that at all. That was definitely a memorable moment. And then also, I would say playing against Colorado State my junior year as well. That was kind of our rivals, and we hadn't beat Colorado State in a while, I think, in a couple of years, but playing at their place as well. So getting that dub against them was definitely fulfilling right there. So those 2 games, and there's a couple of more games as well, but we don't gotta go too much in depth into that. But
yeah, what about some of the players? I mean, you named some pretty well known schools as well too. Are there any players that have transitioned from college basketball to the NBA that you've kind of played against? And tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, probably the most famous one right now, I'll say Pascal Siakam. Played against New Mexico State. Played against them twice, and they're not in our conference. But, man, we played against Pascal. I think it was my sophomore year.
Yeah.
And, it's crazy. It's crazy how much in college you're limited. Pascal was really playing the 5 and the 4 only.
Wow.
He was not on the wing at all. And he had an easy 30 and 10 on us, in his sleep. Like, his game wasn't really on the perimeter like that. And then, seeing him transition to the league and expanding his game, it shows a lot right there. So Pascal, there's a couple of others. I'm trying to think. What's his name? Chandler Hutchison. I don't know if you remember him. He was with the Bulls. He got drafted by them. He was a lottery pick. Played at Boise State. There's a couple more names I can't really think of. I got to really sit down and think. But those 2 definitely come up to my mind the quickest. So played against those guys.
What's something that you missed the most about playing at Air Force?
Something that I missed the most about playing, man, it's going to sound cliche, but just being around my teammates, man. It's just a different atmosphere, having that being in the locker room and being in that environment, seeing your boys every day. And I definitely miss that camaraderie, that brotherhood. I miss that the most, just being around my teammates. It was always love, and just, going through the struggles with them at the academy, during the school year and basketball. So definitely missed that the most.
And that's good, man. You're able to graduate. You set out with all the goals that you wanted to accomplish as well, too. So do you think more players – I mean, obviously your route's slightly different, but there's some people who, obviously if they want to go to NBA, if they're a hot commodity, they're going to leave prematurely and whatnot. I guess what I'm trying to get to is, do you feel like more players should take that initiative to complete all 4 years?
I think everyone's situation could be different. Not everyone has the same abilities and the same resources. Yeah. So it really just depends on the situation that you're in. Obviously I think being in college for a longer period of time, there's more of an opportunity for you to grow and develop. You're playing in a lot of games. You play in a lot of games, a lot of, hours dedicated to the gym, in the film, weight room. So you have a lot of time to develop, But then at the same time, it's like college kind of limits you as well. So it really just depends on, your program, your coaches, and, how they can develop you. You really got to have a plan on how I'm going to get better. So I would say it really just depends, on certain scenarios. But ultimately, if I had to just choose one, I would say being in college a lot more does help you, grow, not only on the court, but just in general as a person, because you're going to go through certain things. You're going to deal with adversity, and that's going to help you along the way in life.
How's the transition been, since graduating from college and whatnot?
I'm not going to lie. The transition was a little bit difficult just because, I've been playing basketball my whole life. Like, when people say ball is life, that was literally my life. Like, that was my identity in hoops, I was just always known as a basketball player. So, you know, once that ball stopped dribbling, stopped bouncing, I was kind of like, dang, like, well, what else do I like to do? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I kind of had to figure that out, find my way, you know, and it's crazy because I wasn't the only one going through that. It was a couple of other my teammates as well, and you know, other people growing up, you know, back home, you know, they play basketball. You think you're gonna go pro, doesn't necessarily work out that way. So it's like, what's next? But you know, as long as you got a good support system, you know, eventually you're gonna figure it out.
Yeah, for sure. And just sorry to backtrack, but there was a season you didn't play too many games as well, too. I forgot you had an injury, so tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, it's crazy because one of my favorite games, like I mentioned before, playing against Colorado State was the game I got hurt in. And I think I had just grabbed a rebound, and I just tweaked my knee a little bit. But, you know, I'm not thinking any much of it, and I'm continuing to play.
Adrenaline racing.
Yeah. I run back down the court, and I'm noticing, like, my knee feels a little bit loose. And it's crazy because you can actually see it on the film. I'm, like, stomping my leg into the ground, trying to put it back together because I didn't know what was going on. You know, I finished the game, and we ended up winning. And I remember celebrating afterwards, and I didn't really feel much pain. Like I only felt the looseness. It wasn't until, you know, finished the game, got back on the bus, and we on the way back to school, and I was like, man, my knee kind of hurt. And then got back. The trainer took a look at me, and he thought I tore something, got the MRI, and I had ruptured my meniscus in my right knee. So, yeah, it was obviously I was down. It took a while to recover.
Yeah, how long was the recovery? Did you have to get surgery? And how long were you out for?
Yeah, so I had to get surgery, a full meniscus repair. I think the surgery, well, the recovery, I'll say took about 7-8 months until I was fully healed. After the surgery, I was on crutches. Wasn't allowed to put any weight on my right leg. I was on crutches for about 6 weeks. But yeah, knee injuries are tough, man, because you depend on your knee for a lot of things, you know.
Yeah.
You know, lateral movement, just running in general. So, you know, you really gotta take time to build that confidence back up in your knee. So it was definitely difficult, rehabbing and going through that and then not playing. It messes with your mind a little bit too. Well, you know, it's a journey to get back to health.
That's good. It's good that you got back to health. I mean, Grayson was talking about, I can't remember the name of the injury, but basically the same foot injury that Chet Holmgren suffered in that game against for Jamal Crawford's league or whatnot. He had that. So that took him out for a year. But he was like, still to this day, he still feels some form of pain from that as well, too. Is that the case for you?
Yeah. Yeah, I'll say I do feel pain sometimes. If I just, you know, do too much. You know, to this day, I mean, I used to be able to dunk off my right leg. And I can't really do that now. So, you know, you're really never the same. You kind of got to get used to your new body almost in a sense. So,
yeah.
Like I said, it's a process.
Interesting. Yeah, it just makes me wonder about all these players because it feels like nowadays, like especially in the NBA, like a lot of players are coming back from these like crazy ass injuries. Katie with the Achilles, you know, Kawhi and Jamal Murray with the ACL, even players with back injuries as well too. So it's just kind of crazy, like the modern medicine and just the rehab that we kind of go through now. It's wild.
No, it's definitely crazy. You know, that's why I got a lot of respect for those guys. You know, obviously on the NBA, they got a lot more resources than us at the college level, but they're also doing it full time too. So, you know, those injuries they go through, man, I respect those guys a lot because it's tough to come back from an injury and then still compete at a high level.
Mm-hmm. Any words of advice to anyone out there that, is not even trying to play at that next level, in which you've been blessed to do, but with anything that they kind of want to pursue in life?
Yeah. It's gonna sound cliche again, but 10,000 hours, man. You gotta put the work in. You can't skip it. I look back on my life and I think about, just for me to compete at the Division I level at, the Air Force Academy, in the Mountain West, which wasn't like a high major conference, but it was still a pretty good conference.
Mm-hmm.
And I look back on all the hours that I put in, the early mornings, even at a young age, all the traveling, the weight room, coaches taking me this place, parents taking me that place, trying to find a ride to get to the gym. I mean, you really got to fall in love with it. You really got to fall in love with, getting better, putting the actual work in, and, trying to work on your weaknesses. You can't skip the work. Can't do that. So you got to put it in. You got to almost be obsessed with it. So I'll say that's my advice.
Appreciate the insight as well, too, ladies and gentlemen. You heard that there firsthand. Cliche as it sounds, put those 10,000 hours in and really find love in what you're passionate about and just go full throttle. You ready to talk about a little bit of NBA hoops, man?
Yes, sir.
All right. So this is a little late, but it's still breaking news in my heart and my mind. Donovan Mitchell got traded to the New York Knicks. Everyone thought he was Donovan Mitchell did not get traded to the New York Knicks. Played y'all niggas. Donovan Mitchell got traded to the Cleveland Cavaliers. He was supposed to get traded to the New York Knicks as well, too. Boy, oh boy, was that New York market mad. So the Cavaliers sent Jazz forward Lauri Markkanen, a rookie wing, Okai Abaji, I can't even pronounce his name, and guard Colin Sexton, 3 unprotected first-round picks, 2025, 2027, 2029, and two pick swaps, 2026 and 2028 for Mitchell, and then the Utah Jazz ended up giving Colin Sexton a 4-year, $72 million deal as well, too. Huge blockbuster trade. If you would have told me going into free agency that Donovan Mitchell was going to be traded before Rudy Gobert, before Kevin Durant, I've been like, what are you talking about? But it seems like it was a win-win on both sides as well, too. So my question for you is, what are your thoughts on the trade, and what do you expect for Donovan Mitchell this year in his new environment?
I think I like the trade on both sides. One, Utah, obviously they're going through a rebuilding phase right now. So they got some young talent, but a lot of future picks for them. So that's good for them. Acquiring those assets in the rebuilding process is really important. On the Cavs side, Cavs already have a young team. They got Darius Garland, Evan Mobley, and then adding Donovan Mitchell to that group is only gonna make them better. Having that backcourt of Darius Garland and Donovan Mitchell, I think it'll be fun to watch. The potential for a young team like that, man, is the ceiling's high. It may not even have a ceiling. But I think it's good. For the Cavs to make that move and acquire a star in this league, a real all-star who's proved himself in the playoffs. And now to be around a team with other young weapons as well, I think it'll be good for them.
Yeah, I mean, they legit have, you can argue, 2 all-star caliber players. They have a legit superstar as well, to Donovan Mitchell, like you said. Honestly, that whole Rookie of the Year shit, like, I feel like Ben Simmons, like, obviously he won Rookie of the Year that year too, but he sat out a year. Granted, he didn't play, but he's still working on his game, perfecting his craft, traveling with the team, and Donovan Mitchell really wasn't exposed to that still. So to me, still to this day, I feel like he should have been Rookie of the Year. But to be a rookie and to take your team to the playoffs and upset who was a former MVP and Russell Westbrook with PG and all them is fucking crazy. And he still hasn't missed the playoffs as well, too. Like you said, we saw what he can do in the playoffs, walking 30-plus points per game bucket as well, too. You add that with a team that has playoff aspirations. Like you said, I don't really see any necessary ceilings with them as well, too. And I feel like this is probably the best talent that he's kind of played with as well, too. And I'm interested to see what they're kind of gonna cook up as far as the game plan as well too. So obviously he's a superstar in his own right. How do you see him and Garland pairing with each other? Who becomes the 1A? Like, do you think Mitchell takes a step back? Do you think Garland takes a step back? And obviously from a defensive standpoint, I know Donovan Mitchell, based on his frame, his build, he's athletically gifted to be a perennial defender, but we kind of haven't seen that yet. Maybe it's because of the load he's had to do so much in the past as well too. But how do you kind of see them coexisting with one another?
Excuse me. So Donovan Mitchell playing alongside with DG. I think it's going to be pretty similar to what we saw in Portland with Damian Lillard and CJ McCollum. Both scoring guards can do a lot offensively with their ability. I think Donovan Mitchell would definitely be 1A. Donovan, he has a lot of ability. And like you said before, he didn't have that much talent back when he was with Utah. So playing alongside with Darius Garland, I think a lot of the load will be off of him, which will help him to be more of a playmaker. Mm-hmm. Obviously you also got Evan Mobley as well. But I think both of those guys will work out just because they're both playmaking guards that can do a lot, as well as score the ball. So, it's pretty tandem. It might be nice. DG has, the ball in his hands a lot, and then it might be nice where Donovan has the ball in his hands a lot. But both of those guys can play off the ball. So it's really a matter of who's hot, who they're playing against. So I really think it'll work.
And they still got Kevin Love. And they still have what's his name? Who's the walking bucket? LeVert as well too.
Oh, yeah.
So they're gonna be a problem. They're gonna be a problem for sure as well too. And obviously we said that they quote unquote have no ceiling, but with these other powerhouses in the East as well too, the Bucks, the 76ers, the Celtics, the Nets, seems like they're gonna stay together for the time being. Where do you see them kind of ranking up with them? Like, where do you see them ending? If you had to make a prediction, where do you see them ending in the Eastern Conference, and what do you think their ceiling is as far as playoff success?
Man, it's tough. Obviously not seeing them, but on paper, man, I want to say top 4, but I mean it's still tough because you still got the Sixers. Joel Embiid, still got the Celtics. Yeah, let's go with top 4. I think probably in that 4 or 5 range, 4 or 5. Mm-hmm. I think that's something where realistically they can finish this year.
Yeah, I said top 4 or 5 as well too. I'm just trying to figure out the seeding because I think even though Miami only really lost PJ Tucker, I just feel like for some reason they're going to take a step back. I think the Celtics are still kind of upset about how things kind of ended. So I got the Celtics number 1. I got Philly, James Harden resurgence. They going to be number 2. Number 3, I probably got the Bucks. It's Giannis Antetokounmpo. And then number 4, that might be a toss-up. So, yeah, I see them ending up 4 or 5 as well, too. It's probably going to be like any other team where they got to get used to playing with each other. And then after like a month or so, they're going to take off and just not look back as well, too. So I'm interested to see how that's going to pan out. And a lot of people are saying, yeah, Donovan Mitchell, Darius Garland. But everybody's saying, like, yo, I wouldn't be surprised in like 2 to 4 years, Mobley going to end up being the best player. What are your thoughts on him?
Man, Mobley he's really good. He has good touch around the rim. Obviously, he's got length. He's pretty comfortable being out on the perimeter as well. He can do a lot for that team. I can see him kind of just, filling in those roles of, doing anything for that team, whether it's rebounding, scoring, playmaking. He's a do-it-all type of player, and it helps that he's also 6'11", 7 foot. So. His potential is out the roof too. He was a number 1 pick, so he's proven why he's the number one pick, and I think as he continues to grow and develop in this league, he'll eventually become an all-star in this league as well.
Yeah, for sure. So moving to a new topic, we kind of talked about this last week with Grayson as well too, but the Patrick Beverley saga kind of continues. We were kind of just giving our early impressions on that. He actually had a press conference, and I got a couple quotes as well here. I say here that Beverley was blunt about how he saw himself helping LA return to the postseason in 21-22, and I quote, "I just feel like they didn't make the playoffs last year." And I think they ended up with 33 and 49. And he was like, basically, they were the number 11 seed. We're being honest. That's just the truth. So you can see all the banners, but is what have you done for me lately? And lately, the Lakers haven't been a good team. And I'm here, obviously. Coach Darvin Ham is here. So obviously with Beverley, 3-time all-defensive teamer. I didn't even know this, but he's never missed a postseason ever as well too. So hopefully he can keep that streak alive going into year 11. And obviously we know he played for Houston, the Clippers, Timberwolves as well too. They also kind of talked to him in his press conference about basically culture, and he said, "I changed the culture of all three of those teams." He mentioned, "I'm trying to implement what I feel like has worked over the past years, and that is the closer you are, the more you are a team, the more you spend time together, the better you'll be as a team. And if you can't have those tough conversations amongst each other, you damn sure ain't going to have all those in front of 20,000 people when the crowd's going crazy against you." And then obviously the elephant in the room was the whole Russell Westbrook, Patrick Beverley beef and whatnot as well too. And he said he thinks it's actually perfect. He says that, "I shoot a ton out of the corner right wing. He posts on the left wing. Offensive sets run after timeouts. He likes to post on the right wing. I shoot 50% from the left corner three. It works. To have another ball handler out there with me, obviously with LeBron also, the more ball handlers, the better you are as a team." And then he basically just talked more about like things are just going to kind of work out. And like he kept reiterating the culture as well too. But I want to hear from you as well. I feel like this is going to be one of the Lakers' last editions unless they have like a crazy Russell Westbrook trade before like the All-Star break and whatnot. But what are your thoughts on Patrick Beverley being the newest addition to the Lakers as well?
I thought about it initially. I was like, what are the Lakers doing? I'm sure a lot of people thought that same thing. But really, I think Patrick Beverley helps them out, not necessarily X's and O's, but just culture-wise. Having another leader on the team, having someone else that, can hold others accountable. I didn't even know he's never missed a postseason, so kudos to him. But, he's another guy on the team that can be vocal and open up his mouth and, like you said, have those tough conversations. At the end of the day, he's a competitor, and one thing about competitors, they're gonna find a way to win, no matter what. So I definitely think it gives life to the Lakers. He could potentially be that heartbeat for them. Kind of like how Draymond was for the Warriors. I can definitely see Patrick being that role, doing the simple things on the court. Obviously he's known for his defense. But, having another voice in the locker room like that, another, dog, as a lot of people would say, I think it's, I think the Lakers can definitely benefit from that. On the court, they're basketball players, they're professional basketball players, so I know somehow, some way they're gonna work it out.
Are they going to be a playoff team or a playing team that makes the playoffs?
I'm gonna say they're gonna be a playoff team. Where they rank, I'm not too sure. I'm gonna have to think about it, but I gotta go with the numbers. What's been done in the past. Patrick never missed a playoff, so.
Hey man, that's what JJ Redick said until he got to the Pelicans. Zion won't play, and he didn't make the playoffs. But they should make the playoffs as well too. But I'm just like, I constantly like just go back and forth about this. I'm just trying to, because now the playing or playoff teams that are secured are 6 teams. right now, I don't think they're better than the Clippers. That's one. They're not gonna be better than the Nuggets. That's two. They're not gonna be better than Phoenix. That's three. Luka Magic. That's four. I didn't even mention the Warriors. That's five. Minnesota, they got Rudy Gobert now, and I'm hoping Anthony Edwards makes another leap. That's six. Pelicans made the playoffs last year. Zion's gonna be fully healthy. That's seven. I don't know, man. I don't know. But then again, like 80 didn't play that much, and LeBron didn't play that much as well too. So it's just like maybe. I don't know. But you said they're gonna be a 1 through 6 seed.
I think not 1 through 6. Probably. I'm gonna say 5 through 8.
5 through 8. Okay,
Yeah.
I think 5 through 8 is realistic as well too. All right, moving on from them. Man, shout out to James Harden really taking that form of a pay cut, and just being able to add more depth to the 76ers, because we've seen in the past every team, you can have as much star power as you want, but it's really your depth that kind of helps you overcome to win a championship as well too. So a couple of days ago, Montrezl Harrell was signed to a 2-year, $5.2 million deal with the Philadelphia 76ers. Obviously, he's going to be bringing toughness and scoring off the bench and what they desperately need as well too. And obviously, we know Joel Embiid has a track record of kind of getting hurt and whatnot as well too. But I think they said that last year the 76ers ranked like 28th in bench scoring a year ago. So I think this is definitely going to boost their bench with the key additions that they kind of had as well too. And Montrezl Harrell only 28. He looked like he about 38, but averaged about 11.4 points and 5 rebounds in his stint with the Charlotte Hornets. Obviously, we know he's a former six-man player of the year with the Clippers as well too, and he gets to reunite with Coach Doc Rivers. And with the new additions, like I kind of mentioned, PJ Tucker, Daniel House as well too. The Sixers are looking pretty formidable. So, what are your thoughts on Montrezl Harrell? Being the newest addition to the Philadelphia 76ers, and what are your thoughts on the 76ers headed into the season this year?
I like what the Sixers did this offseason. Signing Montrezl Harrell was huge for them. Like you mentioned, they were kind of lacking on the bench as far as bench scoring, and he definitely can fill that role, especially when Joel Embiid is out the game. I think it's a real good opportunity for him to, create that energy from off the bench and, continue for them to play at the level that they want to play when Joel's out the game. He can score, he's energetic, he can rebound, plays with a lot of passion, and, hopefully that rubs off on, the rest of the players on that team. And then just in general, they added PJ Tucker, championship DNA right there, also from Raleigh as well. So North Carolina still representing. Adding another shooter, another tough defender. He's a star in his role, and he's known for being a tough player, defensive player in this league. So that's definitely something that they needed. Can definitely mentor some of those other guys on the team. Matisse Thybulle, PJ Tucker brings shooting from the corner, so that's good for James Harden. They already have that chemistry. They've played before, so I really do like what the Sixers have done this offseason. I'd say it was a W for them.
Yeah, for sure as well too, and every year Embiid's continue to get better and better and better. We know they're gonna make the playoffs, but Doc just hasn't been able to scratch getting past the second round as well too. And I'm just wondering, like, what's going to make this year different? I guess my other question for you before we go into the next topic is, everybody been kind of, talking shit about James Harden. Like, do you think James Harden is going to have it's crazy because the dude still averaged like 23, 10, and like 8. Any other player like, yo, top player in the league, X, Y, and Z, but because we're so accustomed to his explosions and we consider him one of the best offensive players of all time, or at least a generation, a lot of people have been kind of coming at him. What are your expectations for him in particular this season?
I think James Harden is still a star in this league. People try to discredit him just because we're so used to him, putting up those numbers, but you got to look at the situation he was in back in Houston. He was the main scoring guard on that team, and Mike D'Antoni, he kind of made it that way to have the offense centered around him. At this point in his career, his role is a little bit different. He can still score, but primarily he's a playmaker. And when you got Joel Embiid on your team too, Joel Embiid is probably going to be, one day on that team, have the ball a lot in his hands. So I think James Harden does a really good job of, leading the offense. I think that'll primarily be his role. And I can still see him putting up numbers every now and then. But, being a playmaker, finding other people on the court, trying to get that ball to Joel Embiid in the paint, pick and pop, pick and roll. I think that's definitely going to be his role on the team. I think he'll still have a good year if he's healthy. The sky's the limit for the Sixers as well if they're healthy.
Okay. Moving on to the next topic. The Basketball Hall of Fame just took place yesterday. So that was pretty interesting. Some names to kind of highlight. Hardaway, Manu Ginobili, Swin Cash, Bob Huggins, Del Harris, Lindsey Whalen, Marianne Stanley, Teresa Schenck Grants, and George Karl all delivered their enshrinement addresses as new members of the Basketball Hall of Fame in Springfield, Massachusetts. Now, obviously, the person that stands out the most, you guys see on my screen right now behind me, is Manu Ginobili, number 20 for the San Antonio Spurs, 4-time NBA champion, 2-time All-Star, 07-08 Sixth Man of the Year, 2-time All-NBA, and has a career average of 14, 4, and 4. My question for you is, when you obviously we heard all these names, but the person that, gets highlighted the most is Manu Ginobili. When you hear the name Manu Ginobili, if you had to sum it up, like what comes to mind for you?
Man, Manu, I think he's one of the greatest six men of all time. When I think of six men, he's one of the first ones to come to mind, and he really kind of made it cool to come off the bench and do your thing. You know what I mean? Manu, I'm sure a lot of people remember Manu. He was a I don't know how to describe his game. It was a little unorthodox. He brought a different style to the game, different flair, but he could do a lot on the court. One thing about Manu, he was a competitor too. He was a dog. I think he was about 6'6", lefty too, which is a lot more harder to guard, I think. But Manu really, he really was a star in his role, and sacrificing on a team where he could have been a starter. And I think that right there is definitely it's definitely important. Because growing up, you always get so concerned with starting, you know what I mean. But it's about who finishes the game and who makes an impact. So Manu, he was one of those guys. As soon as he gets on the court, he's gonna lace him up and come at you. So he's definitely one of the greatest six men of all time.
Yeah, I won't even say one of us. I think he is the greatest six man of all time. Obviously, you can point at Lou Williams, you can point at Jamal Crawford, all of them scoring buckets. But as far as a two-way player, and you put him on your team, and you're instantly helps you get over the hump, definitely Manu Ginobili. So I heard a couple buzzwords that you kind of pointed out that kind of came to mind for me, and for me, is like you said, sacrifice, dedication, openness for humility, and authenticity as well too. And I feel like he kind of, among with like Dirk and the Tony Parkers of the world and whatnot, we have right now. I mean, if it wasn't for him and those other kind of players that I kind of mentioned, there wouldn't be that many international basketball players in the league as well too. Because right now, if you look at the top players in the league, Joel Embiid from Africa, and then you got Europe players like Giannis, who, I mean, obviously he's black as well too, but he's from Greece,
yeah.
Luka, Joker as well too. So it's kind of crazy how like international basketball has been popularized and we have more talent as well too, and they've kind of closed that gap between us. But Ginobili, man, that dude was a killer back in the day as well too. I mean, so many players now when they go in transition, what they doing? The Euro step. He made the Euro step cool.
Whole move, you know what I mean?
Made the whole step cool, made it dope as well too. Like you said, that unorthodox solid play that he had as well too. But whenever I saw him on the court, like you said, he accepted his role at the ultimate professional level, because I feel like to this day, like if he was hand the reins on another team, I think they would have been a playoff team, and I think he could have put up at least like 25 per night type shit. I think he was that good. But to see him kind of just go through all of that and still remain professional and still end up winning, and when you think of the Spurs dynasty, obviously you're going to think of Tim Duncan at the top tier with Coach Pop, but there's no Coach Pop and legacy of Tim Duncan without Ginobili as well too. So definitely deserves his flower as well, and just happy for him as well too. And I'm always gonna he's always gonna be in my top 10 of favorite players of all time for sure.
Absolutely.
Now, I think the NBA just proposed a in-season tournament as well too. Trying to pull up this link right here. So it's loading a little bit right now. It says here that the NBA offseason moves fast, blah, 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 blah. Let me get to the bread of everything as well, too. So essentially what they're trying to do is they're trying to have kind of like with soccer, like they had like multiple cups throughout the season as well, too. Aside from like the NBA championship, obviously, that takes place during the postseason and whatnot. It looks like they're trying to have an in-season tournament as well, too. I'm trying to find... I had the link, but I'm trying to find like the actual tweet in which they kind of posted about too. I think Shams posted that. I want to just give you guys some form of structure on what they were talking about. But basically, from what I remember, it would be there would still be like 82 games included, but I think like midway through the season, they'll basically have like single elimination tournaments as well too. I'm trying to look at the actual structure of that joint. I can't find it right now. But I guess what are your thoughts on the idea of, kind of having an in-season tournament as opposed to just focusing on one prize, which is the NBA Finals?
Yeah, I guess I would have to really understand what the intent is behind having, in-season tournaments, to be doing it for so long, the standard way, 82 games, and then, top 8 go to the playoffs, and then to see a new change. Obviously, people are going to, say, what's going on? Why are we doing this? So I really want to understand why they're doing it. If they're doing it for, something that's, it could be beneficial to the league, and they can show that perspective, then, I'm all for it. But at the end of the day, 82 games, every game does matter. You know what I mean? So especially it's not now. Like, right. So it's not like, guys are going to just go out there and, they can say what they want, regular season, but you got to win. You still got to win a good amount of games to get in, the top 8 on the East or the West Coast. So, I'm all for trying new things. I just really got to understand, what's the point? What are we trying to do with this? What's the overall goal here? That's what I'm curious about.
I think they're just trying to take up the viewership, and like you said, Adam Silver is so progressive, and he's just trying to think of just different ways to, like I said, just get more people watching as well too. Because to be real, we love the NBA, so we always gonna be watching on League Pass, X, Y, and Z, and whatnot. But I feel like the average person who likes sports or likes the NBA, they don't really tune into that probably till about Christmas time or like right before the playoffs start, or even like the playoff basketball in general as well too. So I think this would definitely give other sports like baseball and especially NFL a run for its money as well too. But I think it's more so from the viewership standpoint as well too. So they kind of say here, Shams tweeted the current framework of NBA in-season tournament as soon as 2023-24 per sources. Cup games through November. 8-team advance to single elimination final in December. Other 22 continue with the regular season. All games part of normal 82-game schedule, one extra for final teams as well, too. And he says here the NBA and NBPA are still working to finalize the in-season tournament concept, which includes to be determined prizes for 8 teams that advance for the single elimination round as well, too. So I guess it's another thing where it's probably like for bragging rights as well, too. But it's like, all right, I mean, I'm a competitor. I like it, too. But, like, to me, like, that don't really mean shit if I ain't going to get to the playoffs or if I'm not winning a championship as well, too.
Exactly.
So I think you're going to see a lot of players, even though it's part of 82 games, I wouldn't be surprised if these GMs and owners and coaches are just like, yo, with our top tier players, like, our main prize is to win the championship or at least have a potential to play for the championship. I can see a scenario where they kind of rest them as well, too. Now, if you're going to incentivize them and give them an additional check, but more importantly, because of the way the NFL works is if you're the worst team, regardless, every year you're going to get the top pick. And with the NBA, it's a lottery system. If you're the worst team, you just happen to get more balls inside that little thingy as well too. So maybe they can do something if you win the in-season tournament, you get more balls placed in basically into the pot, so you have a higher chance of getting a higher pick. I mean, I think that would be cool, but it'll be interesting to see like you rooting for a team and kind of seeing who is good, because one thing I love about the NFL so much is anyone can win on any given night and that one and done shit. So it would be kind of cool to see like a little one and done situation as well too, because even with the plan, we were kind of against that. And now we love it, and now we're tuning in the last fourth of the season as well too to see what makes it. And I think what really made it hot for me was when Russ was on the Wizards, and the Wizards was kind of shitty, but he just went stupid. So I was literally tuning in every single night, checking seedings to see what was happening. I think they ended up being like the 9th or 10th seed, and they ended up getting into the playoffs as well too. But I think it's something that's good for the league in the long run. So we'll definitely continue to kind of monitor that situation as well too. But I would love to see a midseason tournament as well too, and see who can be that victorious team as well too. A couple more topics here, quick topics. We mentioned the Boston Celtics, we mentioned the Milwaukee Bucks, we mentioned the Cleveland Cavaliers, we mentioned the Brooklyn Nets, and we mentioned the 76ers. Now, outside of those teams in the East, which team is your sleeper team in the Eastern Conference?
Sleeper team in the East. I think a lot of people haven't been talking about them. I'll say the Atlanta Hawks.
Mm-hmm.
They made the playoffs couple times like in the past couple years. Trae Young is there, John Collins. Adding DeJounte Murray, I think was huge for them. Another all-star type of player. Big guard as well, can guard multiple positions on the court. Playmaking guard too. So I think he'll definitely accompany Trae very well. I think those guys will mesh. Trae's a guy, he can play on or off the ball, and he has a lot of load to carry as well on the Hawks too. So I think adding DeJounte Murray to that team elevated the Hawks. And not too many people are talking about them. They'll definitely be a fun team to play with in 2K.
All right, cool. And then moving on to the Western Conference, the top tier teams last year, I feel like in my opinion, were the Suns, the Grizzlies, the Warriors, Dallas, and then I guess you can kind of say the Clippers now that, two of their superstars are coming back with the addition of John Wall and whatnot as well too. But outside of those teams, and I'm also going to include the Lakers just because of their star power. Outside of those teams, who is your sleeper for the Western Conference?
You didn't say the Nuggets, did you?
I didn't say the Nuggets.
You didn't say the Nuggets. So, I'm a huge Luka fan, so I love the Mavericks. But if I had to choose outside of the Mavs, I'll say the Nuggets, man. Obviously, you still got Jokic. Michael Porter Jr. coming back now. Jamal Murray coming back. I love watching him play.
Dog.
They still have a really talented squad and a really good coach as well. So I would say the Nuggets, man, because talent-wise, I think they can match up with anyone in the Western Conference. And I'm really excited to see what Jamal Murray looks like, now that he'll be fully healthy, as well as Michael Porter Jr. So I'm really excited to see that.
All right, and then last but not least, a couple of days ago, NBA 2K23 came out, man. I feel like what they've kind of stressed a lot is the My Career. It's kind of crazy, like just playing that joint growing up when My Career first came out. Like you couldn't even scan your face. Now you can scan your face. Now they got some My Park bullshit. Now J. Cole in that joint, and it looks like the My Player guy is like a part-time rapper too. It's like they just taking it too far. But I get it. Like the lion's share of their profit goes towards kids and whatnot as well too. But will you be copying NBA 2K23 this year?
Hey, man, we talk so much trash about 2K every year, but at the end of the day, we gonna buy it, man. We love hoops. You know what I mean? So I'm gonna eventually cop it. I know y'all gonna cop it too. We got our little group chat. We have our season every year, so we definitely gonna have to tap in and start that 2K22 season. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna actually finish the season this year too.
Yeah, Zach ain't gonna be in that one, but I got a little glimpse because with PlayStation they got shared play, so I was playing a little bit of it yesterday with you. Obviously, he smacked me, but that was my first time playing. But from what I've seen so far, is just a little test trial using the Brooklyn Nets. Dribbling systems much better, more smooth as well too. You can really get even more separation than you did last year as well too. But what sucks is like I still hate like the time dunks, and right now it's like the shooting meter's garbage. Like it got worse. The perfect one was 2 years ago. Last year was like, oh, okay, I get it, but this year it's terrible. Like it's bad. Like you're gonna be missing free throws, all that. So I don't know if they need a patch update or whatnot. But be prepared to break some controls. Be prepared to break some controls. But like you said, we love hoops. We're going to cop it. This is probably the first time in years I didn't get it the first day or first week, which is crazy. But, yeah, we're going to cop it. And, we're going to see what's good with that as well, too. Any last closing remarks?
Yeah, man. Obviously, I'm glad to be here. You've been doing this for a while, so that shows a lot about you. You're consistent. So, obviously I'm good to always good to talk hoops. I love basketball. We share that same passion. Obviously you're my cousin, so we grew up together. But I'm proud of you. And I'm wishing you all the best in all your endeavors. And like I said, I'm glad to be on the show today.
Yeah, so for your handle, look in that camera right over there and let everyone know your social media handles.
Yeah, my socials. So on Instagram, Twitter, just P_Louder22. You can find me there. I'm not too active, but when I am active, you can follow me on there. Yeah, I think that's it.
Is it P_Louder?
Yeah, P_Louder 22.
Yeah. And for my young entrepreneurs out there as well too, if you're trying to tap in, definitely hit them up as well too.
For sure.
Definitely hit them up as well too. But thanks for being on this episode. Like I said, it's been a long time coming as well too. Nothing but blessings. Continue to do what you do as well too. So ladies and gentlemen, that was episode 119 of The Seezus Show. Make sure to subscribe on all forms of social media at The Seezus Show, at Sir Seezus. Like you said, my guest, Pervis Louder, did great. We out.